Hey, this is Nick, aka The Weiler, and this is the Deadly Operative Grunts Show.
The Deadly Operative Grunt Show! Oh, yeah.
Alright, thanks for joining us today. On today's show, we're going to be talking about RPGs, then and now. And in Inside Dog, we're going to be talking about Into the Badlands, a really cool homage to martial arts in general. And in Dogs at Play, we're going to be talking about Mass Effect Andromeda. Super stoked for that. But first, it's time for your post-weekly news. Let's get pwned. Alright, so last week we got our first look into the gameplay of Shadow of War. It was pretty awesome. Obviously, this was last week, so I'm hoping you already seen it. But if you didn't, we're going to leave a link in the description below, so make sure to check it out, because it's 16 minutes of really awesome things. Basically, it takes all of the Nemesis system and kind of makes it two-way. So now you can have warlords, you can have, which you were kind of able to do before, but now it's like even more engrossing, and it's going to play even bigger of a part into the game. And, you know, the only gripe I have about it is, he had unlimited everything. He had, like, unlimited arrows and unlimited power and everything. It's like, at least give us an idea of what the game's going to be like, not with all the cheat codes on. Also, we got our first look, actually, at Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale game. We got a couple of screens, and then we got all the voice actors and who was going to be playing them. I didn't really recognize most of them, but we do know Nolan North is going to be Rocket Raccoon. I love Nolan North, and I think his voice would fit Rocket perfectly. And if anything, it's probably going to sound a lot like Bradley Cooper, so I think that's going to work out pretty well. And then this week, we got a lot of trailers that I think are worth bringing up. But I'm looking at my pretend watch. This is only about an hour long, so we really have to get through these. So I'm going to try to get through this as fast as possible. Let's put a timer on. Ready? Right there. Got it? Okay. Atomic Blonde, which is John Wick as a woman. Charlize Theron is a really badass lady. She's probably the only person over 50 who can not only pull off a sex demon, but a badass woman who can whoop your ass. Rough Night, starring Scarlett Johansson. She's trying out comedy, and it looks really fun. Spoiler alert, the stripper dies, and now they have to get rid of the body. Geostorm is disaster porn done right. Baby Driver, I first thought was a comedy, but then once I watched it, I figured out that it's actually a prequel to The Transporter, and it's a guy that is the love baby of Vin Diesel and Jason Statham. Wonder Woman, we got another look at her, and it looks awesome, and can anybody say training montage? Little Mermaid, even though they changed almost every single thing about it, hey, it has a mermaid in it. Sam Was Here looks like a really creepy movie. He goes to a town, he's all by himself. All of a sudden, the killer is him. And so people start coming after him, and it looks like it's going to be a real trippy ride. Michelle Rodriguez is always accused of being a man. Well, in this one, she is. Sigourney Weaver gets pissed off about her brother getting killed by Frank, so Frank gets turned into Michelle Rodriguez, and she keeps going around and kicking everybody's ass with a really gruff voice. Guess what? Just use your own voice! Time? Yeah! So that is it for your PWN. Now going on into Dogs at Play. Alright, here we have who?
Fuck, I forgot my name.
Today with us is...
AKA the Douglas.
Yeah! Freshness of Doug.
Yes.
Doug, but not too fresh.
Bag of fresh onions.
Alright, so today on Dogs at Play, we're going to be talking about Mass Effect.
Yeah.
So, first off, generally speaking, not going into too much detail, what did you think about the original trilogy?
I really enjoyed the original trilogy. It was, from BioWare, and, that really reminded me of the days of Knights of the Old Republic. So I was greatly looking forward to it when it first came out, and I was a fan throughout all three, even though, the third was a non-ending ending, supposedly. But I was a fan through all the way through it. I played them all. And I really looking forward to the new one.
Yeah.
Since it's, pretty much changing everything in it except for, the core graph, or the core
name.
Yeah.
So I will make a confession. I never really finished any of them. I played through a good chunk of Mass Effect 1. I played through a pretty good chunk of Mass Effect 2, and I never even touched Mass Effect 3. Oh. So, I got enough of it to realize, okay, I really like the first one. The second one, the reason I couldn't get into it is that there was so much that was changed. They made it way too mainstream. They took out a lot of stuff. I didn't like... in the first one, what I liked is being able to choose whatever weapon I wanted to use for whatever situation I wanted to use.
Yeah, that's true.
In the second one, they're like, okay, you have a class, and you have to stick to that class like glue. So, I happened to choose one where I think the only thing I could have was, a sniper rifle and an SMG. But there were plenty of situations where I really wanted to use a shotgun, or I really wanted to use an assault rifle. And I couldn't because of an arbitrary thing they decided to add. And so then from what most people say, the third one was kind of an in-between it was in between one and two. Okay.
Yeah. And they tried to bring back a little bit of the one into it, but it was still a lot of two.
Right. And I think, too, another thing that I didn't like about it and what really turned me off is that instead of, going down to, all the planets, you just sent probes.
Well, it was endless, flying, sending probes. Yeah.
Instead of going out in your vehicle and that was so fun, just jumping over things and using the jump pads to
trying to climb impossible hills.
Right.
Yeah.
You can get up it, but you're like, I'm gonna stay here for at least 10 minutes. I know I can at least get 10 feet more.
Yeah, all it is about timing that freaking boost jump.
Yep.
Time to just ride.
Yeah, you can get up it, and then you have those big sandworms from Dune. So I since they took that out, it's but it's not as open world, and so I didn't really like that. There were still a lot of big open areas, but because they took away some of the exploration, not all of it obviously, but some of it just made it feel like a smaller world. It just felt like here's World 1, here's World 2.
It was more like levels.
Yeah.
As you can see, You're just going from this level to this level.
So, the next one, it looks super awesome. And honestly, because I didn't really play a lot of Mass Effect, I wasn't super psyched about it. And then I watched the gameplay series that they have, and I was like, okay, now I'm kind of psyched.
Yeah?
So, out of what you saw, give me what do you think about
I'm a little bit hesitant because now they're going towards more the first-person shooter style.
Right, okay.
And less on the cover aspect that I remember from the original 3.
Right.
And that's, I guess it's more... I knew it was coming because... even in the second one, it became more action-y than RPG-ish, I guess. And so I'm a little bit worried about it. It still looks, like a blast to play. Should I say the game?
There's also blasts in it.
No, it looks like a blast to use. It looked like you were jumping around everywhere using your suit. So that's something it gives you more freedom of movement instead of having to tie you down and just going from cover to cover.
Right.
So, I'm a little bit hesitant on it. I don't know how it's going to actually play out, but it's different.
Yeah. I think the one advantage it does have is how different it is, because I feel like I can join in and I don't have to play 1, 2, and 3. We're in a completely new universe. We're in a completely different crew. I don't have to worry about, what's Shepard doing right now? I don't have to care. So, for me, this could be my number 1, and it doesn't matter. I don't have to have experienced that. I don't have to, I'm pretty sure there's going to be references and stuff like that. Obviously, there's going to be throwbacks, even if it is just, oh, remember that alien from over here? Now it's in this game.
And even if you can actually, because BioWare, they love to compartmentalize all their data anyway. So I mean, you can go through and look at, like, I don't know what they would call it, but it's like an encyclopedia, and you could just look it all up if you really wanted to and read it.
Like an archive?
Yeah, it's like an archive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, stuff like that they'll do for the hardcore fans, and I read this one thing, and they're totally referencing Shepard. But it's like me, I can just enjoy the game as it is. So let's talk about something that we're both kind of worried about, and that is it's an RPG. Mm-hmm. So what makes it an RPG? So I mean, what do you think about that?
It's an RPG in my eyes only because they call it an RPG. it's actually just like it's a first-person shooter with a story.
Yeah. So you can choose things.
Yeah, it's like even you can even go. It's reminiscent of like Borderlands, where they call that an RPG, and it's a first-person shooter with numbers that float above the guy's heads every time you hit them.
It's just that at level 1 versus level 50, they're less bullet spongy. Yeah,
exactly. They just get harder, and I mean, you might get better weapons, but each weapon is, in essence, the same.
Right. It just might have a different skin.
Yeah, exactly.
Might have a different fire rate or a different accuracy, but...
And that's what RPGs have slowly started to trickle down to, is more the action style than...
Yeah. And I mean, that's definitely worrisome because, like, saying a game has RPG elements nowadays is basically like saying X is jump, square is reload.
Yeah.
Like, it's just something you expect. I mean, sometimes it's hard to think of a game that doesn't have some type of XP, and because of that XP, you get a larger level. I mean, even something like Ghost Recon, which is a tactical shooter through and through. You still have XP in it. When you get to a certain level, that unlocks certain things, which is almost like loot.
Yeah, and you don't see anyone calling that an RPG.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, it is, in a way, because you play as a role. If you get to the technical... Well, I guess we were talking about that later on, but if you get into the technical wording of a role-playing game, it's any game where you play a different role.
Right.
So every game's a role-playing game.
Right.
It is.
But I kind of do like... So let's get into the nitty-gritty. So I think one of the really cool things is you were kind of talking about the movement or whatever, and that definitely makes it more of an action, but I kind of like the ability to go moving around, and it makes you feel like, like the first trilogy you were a T-1000, and now you're like a T-2000 or something like that. You're the liquid guy who can just do way more than the other guy.
Yeah.
But what was the thing that stood out as like, I cannot wait to utilize that?
Well, I guess it would be just definitely the flight suit, just flying it right in and blading somebody like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like really fast.
The Omni Blade.
Yeah. Which then brings up, is everyone going to have access to everything? Because it doesn't look like they even have a class system in it.
Right.
So that means you can go any way you want, which even opens it up even more. That's what I'm going to do.
Right. From what I understand, there's going to be a favorite system, so you can link certain abilities. And, so maybe you link a freeze ability next to an explosion ability, and that's your favorite one. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming, you have, the R1 and L1, those do something different depending on what you have equipped. So then you can have, I think up to 4 favorites, and while we're talking about it, I think that's one thing that will make it a little bit more accessible, is the fact that you can kind of customize your own
You're
play
not
style.
Restricted, anymore.
Yeah, instead of, if you want to be into biotics, you have to focus on biotics. That's the only thing you're allowed to focus on.
If you want to be good enough in it.
Right. Because you have a predetermined aptitude to that. You're already up at 6 or something, and so it's I might as well keep going into that so I can get this really uber powerful thing. Whereas this, it kind of, you start off just everything's even keel, and by going up, like let's say I want to level up my biotics, by going up to a certain level, then I can like set myself as a biotics, which will give me certain perks. But that won't,
like passive perks to it?
Yeah, like passive perks. So it makes each of the abilities that I already have unlocked, plus the ones I go on from then on, gives it an extra boost.
Okay.
So if I call myself a biotic, I'm able to, use biotics. I have to have light armor, but that's later on. I have to put enough skills into biotics to even get to that point.
Okay.
But by calling myself a biotic, I don't have to be cut off from like technology. So for instance, I don't have to get cut off from like a turret. I can still throw out turrets, but be considered a biotic, which seems like pretty freaking cool.
That's just because, that's where you're training or you're specialized in.
Right. So you're more adept at biotics, and they do like 20-30% more, or they're more effective by 30%, but it's not something that is required. You don't have to do everything in biotics. So I think that's the main thing that's kind of cool.
Then I wonder in multiplayer how that could play out.
Yeah, I'm almost going to say, I mean, they haven't really shown that much, I don't think, but I'm almost going to say, like, that's going to be a completely different skill tree.
You would have to. Because then people would find the best links, this linked up with this, and then everyone will just play the exact same freaking character. Right.
It's just like any multiplayer game ever.
Yeah.
In Battlefield 1, it's snipers! So, let's talk about exploration. Because they're bringing back the Mako, so we get our vehicle back, and they're making that a little bit more RPG, because now we can put points into our vehicle and completely customize it.
Oh, nice. That's something I didn't even see on it.
Oh, yeah.
You must have dug into it a bit further, yeah. You gotta customize it, huh?
And little things, like when you warp to a system, you can just look out your front and see the planets. So if you're closer to a planet, you actually can just look at it, and you're just like, oh.
They said that, they're doing it where they're trying to do no load time. So, I mean, if you go to another planet, you actually just fly to it.
Right.
So it looks like all the stars are going by.
Right,
no
so
load screen.
Yeah, the load screen will be you warping to that planet.
Yeah.
So it might take a little bit longer or something like they're obviously gonna find interesting ways of hiding it, whether it be a cutscene or the streaks of stars.
Yeah, everyone just freezes.
But yeah, the exploration, being able to finally get back down into the planets, like what are you excited about for that?
Let's see, and it looks like they changed it from just shooting out a drone and picking up things to actually going out and finding the collectible or the crafting materials that you need.
Definitely.
So, I mean, that's like something that, everyone's already used to by all kinds of different other games. Yeah. So.
And I mean, the way they make it sound is like if, I hate to keep bringing it up, but it's like supposed to be kind of No Man's Sky-y, where you can explore an entire planet, and so you can.
Oh, jeez.
You can essentially spend hours on like one planet, and traveling from planet to planet, getting resources and stuff like that. So I mean, it's definitely going to add a lot to the end game. Because it's like, okay, I'm done with the story, I've, saved the world, I've found a new home for humanity. Now what? So hopefully that'll add to the end game, because it's like, I have this whole planet.
Or DLCs even.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Don't say DLC!
Sorry.
It hurts us.
I would wish it all to be free, that's why. Just once it comes out, give it to us. We already bought the freaking game.
Give it to us. That's why, I mean, that's one thing you have to give to CD Projekt Red, is that expansions you had to pay for, but DLC was all free.
So they actually made expansions. Most games don't even make expansions.
Right,
it's just all DLC until the second one, so yeah.
Right, so something like, the equivalent would be like, what's the Fallout 3 when you go to the completely new area? Do you remember what that one was called? It was like,
You had
Harbor?
the alien one, and then you had
That's Fallout 4.
4. Yeah.
I haven't played that one. But yes, Far Harbor is in Fallout 4, and you go to a completely new area. So what you have to actually do is you find this boat that magically appears there when you download the DLC, and you get brought to Far Harbor. I can't remember what the Fallout 3 version one is, but yeah, Far Harbor. And so you go to a completely new area. But then there's a lot of DLCs in Fallout 4 that all it does is like it adds in bots, so you can craft your own robot and it will follow you around and stuff like that. And like, that's all it did. Then there was another one where it made all your building. It gave you a lot more to build. And it's like, whoop-de fucking do.
Spend money on that, yeah.
And then they added. Sorry, go ahead.
Go on. They added the Carnival one, so they have 2 levels.
Yeah, Nuka-Cola.
Nuka-Cola.
Yeah, the Nuka-Cola world. Yeah, that's an expansion. That's something we should have to pay for. I don't mind paying for something that it gives me more to explore. But when literally all you're doing is probably unchecking a box and unlocking all this like equipment, stuff that really should have been in the game in the first place, like that's bullshit. You know, so... And I think unfortunately, since we are having multiplayer, like what I don't want in DLC for Mass Effect, I don't want multiplayer. I'm not going to even touch that. I might play it once or twice just to see if I like it. But it's like if I get Mass Effect, I'm going to play it for its story. I'm going to play it for its universe. Mm-hmm. I do not care if Joe Schmo is playing online. I'm like, oh my god, let's go shoot some aliens.
Because it was even in the 3rd one.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't even touch it at all either.
I mean, yeah, you could tell me it existed, and or you could. I don't know.
You don't get Mass Effect or right now any BioWare games for its multiplayer.
Right. Yeah. So it's
you
like
get it for
really
a story.
Yeah. The only reason they're doing it is to appease like a certain group of people.
Yeah.
You know, they want to try to appease everybody. They want to give people more, which is commendable. But yeah, hopefully they don't go the DLC route where it's like, this one gives you a whole bunch of multiplayer crap. And like a little bit of single player. It's like, okay, this is the single player one, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit.
I agree.
So, in closing, what's the thing you're most excited about? What class do you want to work towards? And what's your biggest fear? So most excited.
Most excited thing is jumping in there in a whole new universe.
Yep.
And how open it's going to be, and you know, they're bringing back conversations again, so I'm really excited about that. I know you don't like it, obviously.
I don't really like it. What I don't like about
go on.
What I don't like about the conversation wheels is that when they're done right, they make actual changes. Like the Walking Dead Telltale games made actual choices. This person died versus this person died. People treated you differently because they didn't trust you. Certain things would never even open up. But there are so many games out there, and Mass Effect was sort of the same way, but they at least did kind of do it the right way. But like Infamous, it's like the version, the only difference is like I get these abilities versus this abilities.
Okay, yeah.
The end game is pretty much the same. There's still a twist
is.
at the end. There's still, go ahead.
It is for Mass Effect 2, but it was more like, I guess,
Well, what about Mass Effect 1 and 3?
Or all of them. Sorry.
I'm just fucking with you.
As well. Damn it.
You got me. Go ahead.
But it was more just to open up, I guess, like, for relationship. When you actually want to get into those, because you even asked, that was one of your things. I remember seeing on the outline, did you want to talk about who we wanted to F?
Oh yeah, who do we want to fuck? Who are you gonna fuck first?
I don't even know them all. I always go for the Asari, so I don't know her
okay.
name, but she's supposed to be some doctor or something. They're all doctors.
Oh, they're all doctors.
And I know they're asexual, I guess, in a way, but
I'm gonna go for a human because I'm speciest. It's all about species
You're racist,
for me.
yes, speciest.
I can't imagine tentacles just like.
That's her hair. Okay, it's her hair.
She can still do stuff with that, and it can do some pretty freaky stuff. When she's angry. Shut up.
Who wants a tentacle ride?
That means she likes you. Alright, so then what are you most excited for? What class are you going to go towards first? So your first playthrough, what do you want to focus on?
Since I can go any route, I'm going to try to be a technical biotist soldier. I'm going to go for all three.
What a fucking cop-out.
It's not a cop-out.
It's totally a cop-out. I'm going to go tech because I saw there was a flamethrower and a sentry turret, and that seems kind of cool. Like, get up there, like, use your jump pad to, like, go in there and then, flame in your eye! So.
That's technical, not biotic?
Biotics was, like, the pull and the push.
Yeah.
The force, basically. I mean, it's really just the force. But they couldn't call it the force because they didn't have the licensing, so. But yeah.
Biotics.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the one I'm going to go for. All right, and then what's your biggest red flag? Biggest thing you'd like, what would be your worst fear, and it's like, oh, this is not worth the $60.
Can it be something as low as, because the only thing that really caught my eye was the drawing style of the people are different.
Yeah.
And for some reason it's always hit me every time I've seen the trailers for it.
Yeah.
They're more rounded except for pointed, I guess you'd say, you know.
It's just off-putting.
Yeah, for some reason it is that, and then of course it just makes it go towards more first-person shooter than tactical. I like to always say it was more tactical than just going out and run gun. Like,
well, yeah, because you could tell them, you know, you go over here, and then tell them.
Even though they were stupid and couldn't do anything anyway, but yeah,
hopefully
you
they worked on that. Well, not only that, but you could set your team up or your squad up. So that, like, maybe you had a biotics guy, you were the soldier, and you had the tech guy, right? So
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't see why they would have changed it in the first place, but I do agree with you as that it's going to be Mass Effect and title only, so I should just go in there open-minded.
Yeah, you should. I think my biggest thing that will make me regret it is it's going to be like, I'll keep bringing it up until the day I die, but No Man's Sky, one of the things that that really got boring about it is that each planet was different, but same.
Yeah.
So what will really kill it for me is, here's the third planet here's the 15th planet I've been to. And even though there are new things to see, I still know what to expect. Because it's like there's only a certain amount of randomness that you can get if it's an algorithm. So hopefully, like, what I hope is that they went in there and they painstakingly made each planet different from one another. Because, I mean, this game's been delayed a couple of times.
But how long has it been out, though?
It's not out. Sorry.
Since it's announced.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. I do like that they kind of kept their mouths shut about it, and they didn't really give a lot away, and I hope that that's because they wanted it to be a secret, not because they don't have shit. Like,
that's another fear, right?
Yeah. It's like, I hope that the
there.
reason they didn't show anything is because, well, we're showing you exactly what we have. Like, I hope that's not what's happening. I hope they wanted it to be a mystery, and that's why we're not seeing anything. So, I don't know. But that would be my biggest fear, is that it just goes into a big repetitive, oh, this planet looks like this, but the mountain's over here instead of over there, and instead of this alien, it's that alien.
Yeah. Or it's the exact same alien, just color different.
Right, yeah.
That's old school, though.
Yeah! It's like, instead of a green slime, we get a blue slime.
Yeah. Those damn red goblins are a lot stronger than those freaking green goblins. Green goblins you can hit one hit, but red goblins, you better run away.
Yeah, run! Don't even get me started on the black goblin, I'll tell you what.
black. I was worried about purple.
Alright, so I mean, that's what we think about Mass Effect. Let us know what you think about it. Are you going to pick it up on day one? Are you going to wait a little bit, wait for the reviews? You know, what are you going to do? Let us know in the comments below. Up next, we're going inside Dog. We're also going into the Badlands. Up next on Inside Dogs.
Hi, this is Nick from the Deadly Operative Grunts show. Are you or someone you love a nerd? There are many warning signs that you can look out for. Are they really good at math or science? Do they celebrate strange holidays like May the 4th, Winter Eansmas, or Hobbit Day? Do they have heated discussions about the difference between a light year and a parsec? Do they claim to catch invisible creatures by going outside and staring at their phones? Do they often solemnly swear that they're up to no good? Or do they answer every question with the number 42? All these might point to you or your loved one being a nerd. At Repop Gifts, they're here to help. With a wide variety of items and a selection of one-of-a-kind works of art, you won't want to leave. Need to try something on? Then use their wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey changing room. Great for birthdays, holidays, or just to add to your collection. Repop Gifts near the corner of 31st and State.
Alright, and we are back inside Dogs. We're going to talk about Into the Badlands.
Into the Badlands.
Into them. We're going into.
I was there last week.
Yeah. Was it good?
No, it was very bad. But the land was beautiful.
You're in the Badlands. It's actually quite good.
It was quite beautiful.
Yes. I don't know why they call them bad. Maybe it's like Greenland.
But the
Iceland.
good lands are
Fuck those lands!
nasty.
I have a bunch of wankers in
It
them.
looks like third world India. Just children bathing in the river, and upstream people are pooping in the river.
Alright, so for those
The gods have blessed me upon this Hershey. Sorry, I'm done.
for the uninitiated, what is Into the Badlands?
Well, first off, I'm Wicked Ninja 88.
Oh!
You didn't introduce me.
Oh, you know, we're introducing.
I am so awesome, I don't need an introduction.
The man who needs no introduction. So what do you think about...
Well, what is the Badlands? Into the Badlands?
Yeah, for the uninitiated. So
Okay.
nobody's ever seen it before. How would you describe it?
So, first off, post-apocalyptic.
Yep.
Yep.
But not like in-your-face post-apocalyptic.
No, not
Definitely, not like, oh my god, broken down buildings and everything's brown!
It's like they went Mad Max and then they're on their way back.
Definitely. I could see that, yeah.
They're coming out of the barbaric apocalypse into the rebuild of a nation.
Right, there's definitely still raiders, but we're getting way too hung up on that.
Yeah. Well, either way, so it's post-apocalyptic, but not too apocalyptic, but yet there is some relevance and modernization to it. Mm-hmm. Overall, the story is, so far, we have a young fellow who was captured by a group of, I can't remember what they call them, like rogues or no.
The Clippers?
No, he wasn't captured by, he was captured, the Nomads. Yeah, the Nomads. Which then he is rescued by a Clipper named Sonny. Clippers are like extreme soldiers.
Yeah, so basically in this world, well, let's give a proper synopsis. Basically, it's post-apocalyptic.
Yes.
It's a martial arts lovers series. I think that's the basic way to describe it. So now let's get into the nitty-gritty.
With supernatural touch.
Sort of, but not in your face. They're not in your face about it.
No,
I think that's one thing I can appreciate.
Absolutely.
So the Clippers, they are
like the captains of a or generals, if you will, of an army.
Right, and I think one thing we need to bring up is that they live in a world where guns have been completely outlawed, and it's far enough in the future where they probably don't even know what a gun is. Well, they probably know what a gun is, but they don't have any readily available.
No, it's all.
So
it's
you
all,
have the Clippers, which are trained in the art of sword because
And
that's the only
martial arts,
thing they're able to use.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's all melee combat.
Yeah.
Maces, swords, stuff like that. But again, modernized. It's not over the top.
Yeah.
And in this world, there are barons, and these barons act as earls, or
They're basically like
I wouldn't call them
the
a king.
manager.
Yeah, I wouldn't call them a king. So like,
They're the governors and stuff like that.
So in like during the Viking Age and everything like that, you had a king,
Right.
And then in the counties surrounding the kingdom, there were earls, and an earl would be like the mayor of a county.
Right,
So
totally.
I would consider the barons to be like the mayors of their area. And from what it's five barons, I believe, is what's in the show.
So, yeah.
But in turn, the young lad captured by the nomads, saved by Sonny, who is a clipper, and taken back to his fort.
Right.
They call them forts.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot about the show, but we've all seen it.
Well, and I mean, we're trying to be as vague as possible.
Yeah,
we don't
'cause
want to give it away because it's good.
It's
worth a
really
watch.
good. It's way worth a watch, and it's hard to talk about it because there's the detail that's within the show is almost everything's a spoiler.
Yeah.
Almost everything.
So I mean, let's talk about the overall look of it and
Sure.
the martial arts.
Sure.
Because that's
Okay.
what makes it really
We'll
good.
start with costuming. Actually, I like
Okay, go for it.
Because when it comes to the costuming, when you think of post-apocalyptic world, like I said, you have Mad Max, where it's like all thorns and whatever they can find.
And they have like a tire on their arm.
Yeah. Now it's more unified, and they're gaining materials again, and they actually have color-based uniforms per Baron's faction or whatever.
Right.
So I really like the colors and tones that they chose for that, because like the Baron that Sonny's a part of is like this. It's red, but it's like that musky red.
Like really, really kind of dark, almost maroon, but not really.
Almost maroon, like a dried blood.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like
really
a dried
good.
blood. And it's I think that benefits the imagery behind their characters. Mm-hmm. Because, that Baron especially, he's just so menacing. Mm-hmm. So, I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And I think the color schematics behind, what they use as imageries for, their backdrops, the little villages and everything. The colors, it's not out of place. It's not like, oh God, that red is in that dingy place. No, It's like, no, yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Good lighting.
Yeah, I mean, I love the setup of the world, because like we were trying to explain before, it's post-apocalyptic, but it's far enough past the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
So like Walking Dead is the apocalypse. Now we're far enough into the future where they've started creating civilization. Yep. They've started, rebuilding the world, and it's nice because with all the post-apocalyptic shows out there, this is, but it's kind of not. It could be set in the past, and we really wouldn't know the difference.
Really, you wouldn't, other than the vehicles being there, yeah.
Yeah. They
Other
have
than
some
that.
cars. The main Clipper guy, the first time you see him, he's on a motorcycle.
And that goes again with the clothing that I was talking about. So, the clothes, they have this, medieval flair,
Right.
but it's like a total modernization of it.
Right, and I think that's just because they're in the post-apocalyptic world, so
Yeah.
they do have to make everything. So they have to go back to leather makers. They have to go back to making their own, with a blacksmith making
But they
their own
have
swords.
a modern...
Yeah,
What's,
definitely.
it's like an avant-garde type feel, it's like it's its own style of wear. Whereas you could see it in the medieval times, but only a supreme knight would be wearing what they're wearing or something.
Right.
Well, not knight, but a supreme warrior or something. But it's beautifully done.
Yeah.
Beautifully done.
So let's talk a little bit about characters, and we're gonna save the best for last, which is the martial arts.
Yeah.
So the characters and the acting in general.
So far, I haven't had an issue with any of the acting. I actually enjoy it. I think that they chose the right people so far. I mean, I'm still on the young boy. I'm kind of iffy on.
Yeah.
Part of the Lady Baron, I can't remember her name, but her faction.
Widow?
The Widow. Yes, the Widow. Oh, I love everything about their feel. It's like the ultimate mystic samurai, like ninja tribe.
Right. And it's a lot of women.
It's mostly women.
Yes.
But their flair, like, you know, they have like ninja stars that aren't ninja stars. They're
butterflies. Yeah.
Or like they have other like little feels. And I think that that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, because it gives their characters extra feel. And I feel that these actors and actresses are portraying their faction appropriately. Like, this faction's supposed to be like a honorable, like, very honorable, like, samurai-ish type of society, whereas the Sunny's Baron is kind of, like I said, menacing and more
very
like
menacing,
more like a Anglo-Saxon knight type Baron.
Okay, yeah.
So going into a video game like For Honor, he's the knight faction, and then
he's the Viking faction.
I wouldn't say the Viking.
He's the Viking.
I wouldn't say that by
well,
any
I guess
stretch.
the Nomads could be the
Nomads.
Viking. Oh, okay.
And see,
right. You got me.
And spoiler alert, sorry, but there's actually a point where a Baron tries to team up with the Nomads, and when that happened, especially, I was like, dude, they are so the Vikings of this realm.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
So, I mean, it really presented that. And again, that's speaking to their characters.
Yeah.
Because even little small characters that we've seen of the Nomads, they were influential enough as a small character. It's like they could have been a main role.
Yeah. Going back to the women, something I want to point out that I think I really appreciate, and not just as a father of a daughter, but just as a person, what I appreciate is that these aren't like Amazonian women, or like they're not like, they don't have revealing costumes.
No.
They don't use their sexuality
they're
as a weapon.
They're very well dressed.
Yeah, they're kind of robed. So like there's almost no cleavage. There's almost no legs.
No, it's traditional samurai.
Yeah, so they're using their physical ability to fight, not... Yeah, their level 99 armor isn't like a little strap.
Yeah, it's just a leaf.
It's just a leaf, and that's... No, they're
strongest armor, the armor of Eve.
But it's nice to see that, because there are plenty of shows out there. Like another show I'm kind of into, it's like the Shannara Chronicles, and it's kind of the same thing, post-apocalyptic, but there's like elves and trolls and stuff like that, and it's kind of cool, but it's so CW in the way that a girl has to be busty and skinny, and a male has to have abs.
Yeah.
And I hate that. That's just so stupid.
No, and like you said, the girls are not Amazonian type.
Yeah.
And into the Badlands, they're actually kind of small and petite.
Right.
They're very,
and
actually
not even
very
in a bad
petite.
way.
No, I think it bodes to their character again, because it's almost like you would want to breed them that way to make them better at being a ninja.
Right. Yeah.
So like they select the smaller of the group to be... I mean, they're probably not going to go like dwarf or like little person. Or
Yeah, nothing like that, but...
Although I would love to see a tribe of some dwarves like take some people down.
Sink, sink, sink. Yeah, ninja dwarves. Where are they? On my knee!
How did they run across the field so much faster? Aerodynamics. Yeah, that's just... I'm going to go to hell for that one.
So like I was saying about the women, it's just really nice. And so then I think that also plays to the contrast of the other Baron, because, you know, he is so menacing, and a lot of his are men, and so they're a lot more engineered to be like fighting machines.
Well, all of them go through the rigorous process of
Right.
just like their training. Basically, it's just a big ass scrapyard
Right.
where everybody's fighting everybody. I mean, the young guy shows up. He's not even there for like 5 minutes, and he gets jumped by some dude, and he steals his necklace.
So anyways, I mean, the only thing I'd have to say about some of the acting, so like you were talking about the younger guy who, you know, gets captured at the beginning, you know, he's a little kind of just hit and miss. And luckily, like, some of it might be a little bit, cheesy. And that's only like, one thing I have to bring up, it's on AMC. Right now it's on Netflix, so I mean, that's kind of the reason we're talking about it. And the second season obviously is coming out and near the end of March. But the only reason I bring up the acting is because it has to go up against other shows on that particular station. Obviously, we have the obvious one is The Walking Dead, but then we also have Mad Men, which is, I don't even know how many awards Mad Men has gotten sheerly on acting alone. Now, Walking Dead is no slouch, and they actually have a lot of awards as far as acting, but not as much as Mad Men. So that's my point, is that you have really good shows with really good acting, and then you kind of have this one. And it's not terrible by any means, but I do have to just kind of point that out because you expect more from AMC, I guess. So, I mean, that's the only thing.
Being the market that they are, absolutely.
Right. I mean, I'd say the same thing for Netflix. If Netflix came out with something that had really bad acting in it, it would just stand out because you have Orange is the New Black, Daredevil, all these really good shows, and to have something where the acting is just kind of
mediocre and par.
Frontier.
Subpar.
Frontier? You don't really like that one?
No, I didn't like
it's
the
spotty.
acting in it.
It's spotty. The acting in it, like, there's some scenes where some of the actors really do the good portrayal on it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right, Doug, that some of it is just like, really?
It's hard to choke sometimes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what makes it okay, what makes me look past the acting, past the story, which is, there, and it is interesting and intriguing, and it keeps you going, but what keeps you coming back
is the blood spilling,
is the martial arts. And I have to say that this entire series is really an homage to martial arts.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
every form.
Yeah. And there's certain scenes that they you can tell, like, they were inspired by, like in the first episode, you see the rain and you're like, oh, there's going to be a big fight scene. And I mean, there's so many in the past that kind of do the same thing, but it does enough different where
the scene, there's a scene of a burning down, and it looks like a traditional, almost style Japanese village, and there's like a big fight scene with like 3 monks and Sunny, and it is just, everything about it reads like old school kung fu movie.
Nice.
Like, it's like one of the biggest tributes too, because I think kung fu movies inspired so much as far as like our fight choreography in our movies today.
Yeah.
Come on, almost every single one of them takes at least a chapter out of Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
I mean, The Drunken Master with Jackie Chan, how many movies have had a drunken fight scene inspired off of that movie?
True, yeah.
Because drunken fighting with Kung Fu is just awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, the fight scenes definitely keep it interesting. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I really appreciate about pretty much every fight scene is that it follows a very good arc. There's the setup, escalation, there's a climax, and there's a resolution. And on top of that, it always means something to the story. The stakes are very clear, and there's a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
There's never an action scene because we need another action scene, we're about to go to commercial. There's never that.
No.
So I really appreciate that, because even in movies sometimes it's like, here's an action sequence because it's been 20 minutes and we need one. There is a big action sequence in every single episode pretty much, but it feels...
Sometimes even a couple.
Right, exactly. But it feels right.
Natural.
It feels natural.
Yeah.
They get there, and they get there in a good way. Like here's a really good example. It's a small action scene, but it plays out so well. So it's it's in the second episode. It's the girl like Tisdale or something.
Tisdale or something, yeah.
Something like that. So within the first couple of sentences, they set up the stakes and they set up the fight. So it's like, if my girl can beat one of your guys, then you have to join us. And then the other guy's
That's
like,
when she's having the meeting with the nomads, yeah.
Yeah, and then she's like, then she's like, okay, or he's like, okay, but if she loses, we get to keep her. So it's like there's definitely some implication there. So the stakes are clearly set.
Yep.
If she wins, she pleases her master and doesn't get possibly sexually assaulted for the rest of her life. Because she's basically getting sold off to slavery if she loses.
And the thing is, it's the Baron's daughter.
Yeah.
That's what makes the whole stake. That's because, like you said, you know what the stakes are. Yeah, she's the widow Baron's daughter. So I think that adds to the in-depth and intensity of the stake.
Right.
So like it gives it a higher feel. Like the way I've seen it so far, nobody is safe in this show.
Oh,
everybody's put in front of the wolf.
Right. So I mean, let's get back to the fight. So the stakes are set. They kind of size up each other. The fight starts. There's clearly a change in power because he's kind of like, oh, I'm going to beat her really fast. He quickly realizes that she's more than meets the eye. So there's the escalation. Then there's the climax. She snaps his neck. And the resolution is she won. They're going to join her.
Yep.
And that it happened. It was like, what, maybe a minute long?
Not even.
But that fight scene was so well set up, so well executed, that it's like we knew the stakes. We knew it was its own story. This could have been a video on YouTube and, it would have had its own story.
Yeah.
And so every fight scene has purpose. It doesn't just have the fight scene because they need it. And I just love that. Now let's talk about the choreography. The choreography in this is just so well done. There are certain action movies where it's like you can see somebody wince right before they get hit, and it's because they know what's coming. This is so well choreographed. It's a beautiful dance.
Yeah, I definitely. That's what I have to say about all of it is that everything that they do from. I mean, at times it can seem almost. Crouching Tiger,
Maybe.
but instead of being dialed at a 10, it's like at a 5.
Right, so it's not in your face about it.
No, it's not in your face, but the way they do it, it's so beautifully mastered that it's so fluid. It's like water.
Yeah. And even though there are certain fight scenes that they have a couple of different cuts, so they change directions, you're never confused about like, wait, did they just jump? Where are they? Everything's set up so well that it's not hard to follow, which makes it easier for you to enjoy what's going on in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only that, but one in particular I'll bring up is from the second episode, because I just don't want to spoil too much that far forward. I think you need to watch it. But in the second episode, in the warehouse, when they find out that they got set up, he's surrounded by like 20 guys and he takes them all on. But here's the thing. They don't attack one at a time.
No.
They attack at the same time. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, because how many movies, I realistically, you versus like 5 dudes and the 5 dudes are on one team, they're all going to probably swing at you at the same time.
Right, they're just going to get you down on the ground, boom, boom,
I mean, what do they do when they practice? Okay, so when we get into a situation where there's one guy, okay, so Bill, Tyler, Mark, Carl, John.
Okay.
And then they're going to get
who's after Carl?
Mark. God damn it!
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just not, it doesn't seem plausible when that happens. Right. Whereas when they're all, you got 2 guys doing an upward swing and you got another guy swinging from the side, to be able for Sonny to have that bow bow and then it's like a flower blooming. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful.
Which goes right back to the choreography. Not only that, but where they decide to have the camera.
Yes.
Everything is done purposefully and it's done well. What I do also like is that most of the characters, except for the evil Baron, because you could tell there's a stunt guy for him, but for the most part, a lot of the people, it looks like they decided to hire stunt people and then they did the acting as well, rather than actors who they have a stunt person come in for.
Honestly, the actors, some of the actors and actresses are so regular Joes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of nice.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not super great at acting, but...
No.
But I do think that it does kind of make it a little bit more believable, and yeah, it makes it so that when a fight scene comes, it's them doing it. Especially the main guy, which I want to say is Daniel Young or something like that. So like with him, especially Sonny, you can tell that's Sonny, or the guy who's playing Sonny, should I say? It's him doing everything. It's not some stunt guy, and you really have to give him props for that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, overall good show though.
Yeah.
With the way they tie everything together, I think that if they can run it, say 5 seasons, it could play out well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about it. 5 seasons, 5 Barons.
Yeah, that could be.
Do a Baron per season.
Yeah. So without giving anything away, what would you say you would want them to do in the coming season? We can't be too spoilery, but what do you hope they do differently? Maybe. What do you hope they
multi-Baron faction war.
Yeah. Just all-out Game of Thrones. I mean, Game of Barons.
Yeah. I need to watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
I have
me
not
too.
Seen it yet.
I haven't either. So
I heard it's
episode
really
1.
good.
I heard too.
Yeah.
From somebody.
I read it was really good too.
But yeah, I hope they just keep going. I hope that they don't find the wall and then just kind of keep going because they have to.
Right. You know who did that, right? 7 Deadly Sons.
Yeah.
Come on. And Doug and I were talking about this over the other weekend. The fact that season 2 has 4 episodes and they are non-eventful. It's kind of just oh, you guys want season 2? Well, here's some stupid shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was excited with episode 1 and 2 because of the whole Vaughn and Leonidas. Leotis.
Meliodas?
This is Sparta! What are you doing?
I gotta borrow some sense from Batman. No, Meliodas' and Vaughn's. What is wrong with his head? I got it! So Meliodas' and Vaughn's battle, I was excited for that, and then after that it was nothing.
Yeah.
And that's because I think that they hit the wall in season 1, and then they looked over the wall and said, "Ooh,
What now?
we're gonna let the Chinese have this."
So
my forehead, it's peeking over my wall. Yeah. Overall, though, I that's what I want is a faction war, and honestly, I kind of want to see what the other barons are like. Like I said, we have the samurai, the widow, and then we have the baron, and he's knightish / Vikingish. I want to see if they've got a Hindu one.
Right. One that's all about peace and love.
Yeah, peace and love, man. And then they have a redneck one. Hey, man, can I buy your truck? No. Can I grab your sister? Where? Little pussy. It's hot in here, dude. I'm so losing focus. I'm dead serious. I'm burning up.
That's okay. We'll get it wrapped up. So, I mean, overall, we definitely think watch Into the Badlands.
Yes.
It's really good. It's on Netflix. And then if you have AMC, it's coming out at the end of March, the 2nd season, and it's definitely worth your time, so make sure to check that out. But if you have seen it, what do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. Up next, we're going to be talking about RPGs then and now.